Okay. I would like to document, if you will, my experience trying to download VMware Workstation Pro. And the reason for that is because I was like, I want to run some virtual machines. I hear people like VMware over VirtualBox. I've used Workstation before on a trial and it was pretty good. So I'm like, sure, I'll give it a go. And sure enough, we have an article right here. I remember pretty recently, yeah, Workstation Pro is now available free for personal use. I'm like, okay, well, look, I want to use it for personal use. So this sounds like a pretty solid choice. I go through their little post, their little blog article, and yep, sure, we have links right here. VMware Workstation Pro download. Fusion is the version for macOS, so I'm going to ignore that. Let's go for the Workstation Pro version. And what I didn't expect to see was the Broadcom login portal. But then I was like, oh, actually, yeah, this I guess makes some sense. They're owned by Broadcom now. Let me go out of here. I have already made an account on this, but I'm showing the full process. I will show you every painstaking moment that went into downloading this software. So you can't sign in from this page because you don't have an account already. We actually have to go up here, completely dismiss the original flow, and now we're on a user registration page. All right, cool. I have an email ready for this. It's just Firefox Relay one. Don't make the mistake that I did and put pluses. For those of you who don't know, with email addresses, you can do this super cool thing. We're like, okay, so ari@arimelody.me, that's my email, right? But if I want to say track my email in a data breach, I can do this, ari plus broadcom@arimelody.me. All the emails still go to this address, like it's supposed to, but I'm uniquely identified with this little plus broadcom. So if there is a data breach and I want to know if my data has fallen in here, I can just look for ari plus broadcom@arimelody.me. Anyone just happily automatically scraping my data isn't going to immediately be able to tie it to a bunch of other stuff. It's a pretty reasonable security measure, and it doesn't really take any effort. You can do this with Outlook, with Gmail, whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay, cool. And now they want me to enter some details. Well, I'm just going to put Ari Melody, live in Ireland, sure. For password. Now, they have some interesting password requirements. It has to be at least 8 characters in length, have at least 1 lowercase and 1 uppercase character, has to have at least 1 digit, at least 1 special character, and this one's really interesting, should not have 3 or more consecutive characters that match any portion of the user email address. So, remember when I said don't use the plus in your email? Well, it turns out that what they do in the background is they take your email address and they chop it up into segments, and they will parse all 3 chunks here. They will parse it in these little chunks. Now, for those of you who've done regex, you'll know that plus works a little bit differently in regex. It's not just a standard character. This is a greedy matching character. I believe it takes 1 or more or 0 or more, one of the two, of the character that precedes it. But the character that precedes it is an OR operator. So there's nothing for this to match within this section. There's nothing behind here. So it's greedily matching nothing, which regex can't do. And if you try and go through this login portal, at least in my case, okay, maybe I'm just unique case where my name here is a multiple of 3 characters, so the plus just happens to land here. It is very possible that your email does not have this problem. Mine does, though. And I'm not changing my whole email address just for this site. I don't care. So this is really bad. This shouldn't happen, but it does. Cool. All right, we've explained that. With all of these constraints in mind, see, normally, ordinarily, I would create a password using Bitwarden, and I still do in this case, but normally I create passphrases. These are very easy to communicate to someone else. They're still very, very secure, at least as far as I'm aware, and I like them a lot. These won't work because they don't fulfill the number or the special character requirements. And depending on the type of passphrase, it may also violate the email situation, which is super awesome. So instead, I'm just going to use this massive dump of characters. Let's enter the password. See, you can't paste the password. For whatever reason, you cannot Control-V into the password box. You also cannot paste with right-click. And if I actually go into Inspect Element here, specifically to go to the password box and fill in the value, you can see it applies. Until I click away, or, yep, there it is. Yep, it's gone. I don't know, is this to prevent like bots, but Control-V is a very normal user input, and I think blocking that is really stupid. And I think most people would agree that blocking Control-V is really stupid, especially when you have a confirm password box. Now, thankfully, my password manager bypasses this just fine. I'm not sure exactly what it does, but it works. Let's create the account. Cool. All right, we have now officially registered. Splendid. I now have access to all of these services. I don't really want to build my profile. I don't care. I just want the software. So now we're on this Broadcom support page. Now this is not where you get VMware Workstation Pro. I am still going to look for it because this seems like a pretty reasonable thing to do. Oh yeah, they advise you that there will be maintenance. This is 6 days ago at the time of recording. I'm sure they just forgot to take down the notice, so, you know, whatever. And we have 2 articles here. VMware to Broadcom support feed, can you ask questions? This is the featured result. This has, I don't think, anything to do with what I'm looking for. Okay, hold on, downloading VMware products. See, downloading Broadcom products and software. We're already in, you know, documentation hell, so I guess why not be here? Choose the appropriate download center on the Broadcom support portal. VMware Cloud Foundation is what we want, or at least it's the only thing that says VMware. Log in if prompted. Oh, I was prompted. My downloads are displayed a product associated with site ID. Okay, well, let's go over here. I'm now prompted to log in again, so I'm just gonna put in my details again. Okay, cool. We are now on my downloads. Sure, okay. So this page is in alphabetical order, going left to right. So if we go all the way down, we'll find VMware Workstation Pro right here. Cool, let's click on that. So we're now on VMware Workstation Pro downloads page. All right, we must be really close. So I made the mistake of clicking on this the first time because, you know, the blog earlier said that, you know, it's now free for personal use. So I'm like, okay, well, I could just get Pro, right? No, this will not work because if you go to this page, even if you agree to the terms and conditions over here, this little download thing says you are not entitled. You're not entitled to the free software. And that's really confusing. I think the trick is this is not actually the free software. This is the enterprise version of the free software, I guess. You have to go to the personal use version. Now, my understanding is that they've discontinued Workstation Player and Fusion Player. And the reason for that is because, well, now the fully featured Pro products are now free for personal use. So you don't need, like, Player. You don't need it. So it's all one consolidated piece of software. And that's really cool. Except it's not, because you still have 2 separate download pages, and these appear to be 2 different binaries entirely. I'm not entirely sure why. I'm sure development on that must be super fun, but alright, cool. Let's go to the release. Cool, alright, so now free personal use. Fantastic. Alright, great. Okay, screening is required. That's interesting. Alright, well, let's try and agree to terms and conditions. Maybe that's all the screening we need to do. Screening is still required, but doesn't look like I can't click on this button. Oh yeah. All right, additional verification is required. Let's proceed. So now they want my address, my full home address. Now I'm personally not super down with giving these people my home address, partly out of spite because they just maybe had to go through all of this nonsense, but mostly because, you know, I gave them a proxy email for a reason. I'm basically expecting my data to be leaked eventually, so I'd rather not have my full home address attached to my name or email. So instead, I'm going to give them the address for a Guinness brewery in Dublin. This totally works, and they don't care. At least I don't seem to care enough. So I've just told them that this is my address, and I live at a brewery, or at least my how is at a brewery. They haven't complained. And look at that, HTTPS download. And there we go. So that's how you that's how you get VMware Workstation Pro. The free software, free for personal use. You just have to make an account. You have to give them your email, but not an email that is specifically designed for catching your email in a data leak. No, you have to use your primary email, or if you're a little bit more insistent, you can use a Firefox Relay proxy or whatever email proxy you're comfortable with. They don't seem to care right now. It's possible they will change that in the future. Then they also need your full home address, and that's apparently the screening process. Yeah, hope you enjoyed that little exploration. I'm gonna try and make some VMs now.